Hello and welcome to the 303rd edition of the Illegal Motion College Football Podcast. In Nashville, Tennessee, I'm Matt Perkins, and I'm joined by just a stutter and go across the Harpeth River from me here in the Music City. It's our own offensive coordinator, the coach, Corey Burton.
All right. Welcome. Yeah, the stutter and go. I'm planning a little offense, and the stutter and go might be where it's at.
Well, would you prefer that over the speed option?
Yes.
All right. Well, we can't, though, get started without the third amigo in the second city. A man who knows the real underlying cause of the Boxer Rebellion and has a unique theory about Spencer Petrus's surprising effectiveness from this past weekend in the wind. It's our intrepid blogger from Big Ten and Counting, Josh Cook.
Well, off air, Matt said I was dressed a little bit like Al Borland right now, and then Coach and I got in a Tim the Toolman Taylor off, so just so our audience could tell who's got the best.
And that is my entry into that.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about some college. We're gonna talk about some college football. Yeah.
So,
how would Lou Holtz's sound like? It'd be like,
How's that?
I think Lou Holtz could get
we're
behind
gonna get
that.
sued by him eventually.
But until then, we can keep going.
What's the lawsuit?
I don't.
We're gonna get a cease and desist order,
or at least, or a libel suit. Okay, well, before we get a lawsuit or we get into this week's action, we want to remind you guys that we here on Illegal Motion are brought to you by not only Mike Farrell Sports, but betonline.ag, where they continue to be the number one resource for all of your online sports wagering needs. Your sport, they've got it over there. Basketball, NHL in full swing, and most importantly, college football. So head on over to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and use the promo code BELIEVE. That's BLEAV for a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online where the game starts. All right, gents, quite a weekend in college football. A lot of fun, but all of the eyeballs in the college football world were in Athens, Georgia, where Coach's dogs absolutely went to town on the smack-talking Tennessee Vols. So, Coach, I just want your rapid reaction. You know, I mean, if you want to go deep, check out Coach and Israel on Believe in Georgia Dogs this week. But, you know, my overarching theme from watching this game was that Georgia's defense is, I don't know if I want to go as far as this. They might be better than last year.
I think as a unit, you could say that probably, but I think, you know, obviously the talent speaks for itself. 5 guys in the first round, 5 guys off that defense, a bunch of first rounders. I can't remember exactly how many off the defense specifically. I think they lost 5 or 6 to the draft off the defense. It was something ridiculous. And to think that this would be a better unit, but this group has been forced to play more together. The other group had a bunch of guys that made a bunch of plays. Like it's not hard to scheme when you have Jordan Davis and Nakobe Dean and Channing Tindall and Quay Walker and Trevon Walker and those guys, all those guys that went to the draft. But it just they flat got after it, man. They collapsed the pocket. They got a lot more creative with the pressures that they brought on Hendon Hooker. They got aggressive. They locked down on man coverage and really it showed that they prepared for the tempo because Georgia was ready for it, man. They were in shape. There was no breakdowns. I think the one pass they hit, the one long ball they hit on their only touchdown was a 7-man pressure and left to safety on an island against Jalen Hyatt, which if you do that, that's probably not going to go well in your favor. But other than that, I mean, this defense played masterfully, man. And it just shows that even somebody like Hendon Hooker can be rattled if you get pressure and collapse the pocket on him. And my God, before you go, Jalen Carter is a stud, dude. That guy, having him back in the lineup has been the best thing to happen, man. Just pushing the pile from
He is
inside.
a very large and very athletic man.
Caused a couple of fumbles, one that should have been ruled a safety, but we ended up getting a touchdown, so I'm not going to complain too much. But that guy's a menace, dude, in the inside. It's unreal.
Josh, what do you think of this one?
Well, as one of the few eyeballs that did not partake in this game, I'll tell you what I did see while this game was airing. Kansas got bowl eligible, my friends.
Okay, let's talk about Kansas. Jason, why not? I'm here for all the Kansas talk.
Rock Chalk Jayhawk, man. I kept following that game. I was like, oh hell yeah, Kansas, go big, go Rock Chalk. You know, I was texting Rock Chalk in the middle of all my Georgia rants, which were positive, good rants, not bad rants.
Well, when Jason Bean was called upon, I was higher on him than, I don't know what coach's opinion was, but Matt, you weren't. You were pretty unimpressed. But
I thought that Jalen Daniels is what made the offense special, and I was wrong.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you guys saw his stat line, but he was 18 of 23 for 203, 2 touchdowns. And then on the ground, he rushed it 4 times for 93 yards. It helped that one of those was a 73-yard touchdown. So, that was pretty fun game to watch. The goalpost did not survive, but it was awesome. I mean, first win against a ranked team in a long time. And
did you see Kansas's epic troll job of Tennessee? Tennessee not only had to lose on Saturday, but then they got publicly trolled by the Kansas Jayhawks football team by saying that
I did. No, was pretty clever.
Yeah, I thought that was wonderful, saying that don't worry, they don't need donations to cover the cost of the goalpost. Absolutely, like chef's kiss social media work there from the Jayhawks. The other big game, though,
from the top rope
in the SEC was the showdown in Baton Rouge, LSU Alabama, which ended up being a heck of a football game, and Boudreaux Kelly got his first real signature victory. Because I mean, the Ole Miss game was a good victory, don't get me wrong, but this is a real signature win, Josh, for Mr. Boudreaux. And you know, LSU's coming, and I guess my question to you, though, Josh, is this more indicative of LSU on the ascension, or Bama falling, you know, maybe a little bit from the top of the sport?
Well, I would know more if I had watched this game, because unlike most of America, I was watching Kansas State, Texas. But I did flip over to this game and caught the last second score by LSU and the overtime period. But to address your question, Nick Saban, has spread out his offense. He's gotten with modern times with his offense, but he has made his bones as a coach with very, very physical defenses and just dominating the defensive side of the ball. And simply put, they haven't been doing that this year. We saw Texas move the ball with Quinn Ewers before he got hurt. We saw Arkansas have their third quarter explosion where they made it an incredible game before faltering in the fourth. We saw Tennessee go up and down the field on them. And now we just saw it again with LSU going up and down the field, especially late in that game. And then we saw the jailbreak in the overtime period when they scored on the very first play of overtime. And not only is the defense not as good, the defense is really not disciplined. They're getting penalty after penalty after penalty.
They're soft.
And
they're soft.
What's crazy though,
Nick Saban defense I've ever seen.
Yeah. What's crazy about all of it is even with all this, Bama's 6 points away from being undefeated.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, they've
done it.
Go ahead, Coach.
They've been in a lot of close games. Yeah, I was going to say they've been in a lot of close games, but they have no identity. Like,
they've struggled on the road too.
Where's their identity? they struggle mightily on the road. Where's their identity? Where's their toughness? And the only thing I can think of is that the defense is now playing ultra conservative because their offense is such a mystery that they don't want to give up big plays. They don't want to risk things because they know that if they get behind, they may not be able to catch up because they can't run the ball. Bryce Young can't do everything. He can't throw passes to himself. And Bill O'Brien's just not helping him out offensively. And then Pete Golding has gone soft and super, super ultra conservative. And this is the most discombobulated I've seen Bama in quite some time, probably since 2007.
This is the worst offensive line unit they've had in a while. Tyler Steen coming over from Vanderbilt has not been good at left tackle. I'm honestly a little bit shocked they haven't just thrown J.C. Latham at left tackle and said go and run with it because Steen has not been effective. I mean, he was getting one last thing for me. My cousin Harold had a heck of a game for LSU on the defensive side of the ball at linebacker for the Bayou Bengals. He was all over the place in this one. He had 8 tackles, a sack, a pass defense, a couple more QB hurries. He was all over the place. True freshman, 5-star. We only produce 5-stars in this family. So we're only
that's right.
So
5-star Perkins.
Big picture then, Coach, here in the West, it's LSU's to lose, which is pretty insane.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah. So
crazy to think about because coming into the year, we had them like middle of the pack.
Yeah, I think I had them like finishing 5th in the West, maybe 6th.
We got 4th or 5th. Yeah, I think we were consensus about 4th or 5th.
Something like that.
In the West.
Something like that. So
Josh may have gone even lower than that.
Yeah, I don't even remember. But
wow, maybe.
One thing
maybe.
Though,
don't trust anything I say about the SEC.
So let's move to the ACC or the quasi ACC with the Clemson Notre Dame game, Josh, because this ended up being a good old fashioned boat whipping by Notre Dame. I mean, don't even let the final score fool you. It was not even this. It wasn't even. It was 35-14. It wasn't that. It was 35-0. And then Notre Dame took their foot off the gas at the end. To me, what really stood out was Joe Alt, the sophomore left tackle, and the rest of the offensive line at Notre Dame manhandled Clemson's defensive line, which to me, coming to this game, I would have told you that's the best defensive line in the country.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about Clemson is they are a classic example of poll inertia, and you just sort of assume that they're going to be good, the proven entity. We get suckered into it time and again with different teams. But the ACC is undeniably down this year in terms of having top-end teams. The middle is awesome. I mean, Duke is a fun team. NC State is still a fun team. Syracuse is banged up, but still was a fun team. Hopefully they regain some of that swagger here late. So the middle of the ACC is really fun, but the top end just isn't there. And so Clemson was kind of artificially higher than they should be. And this game also just it was not well coached by Dabo Swinney in the slightest. DJ struggled a lot through a 96-yard touchdown pick 6 on that. And then what happens is when he's struggling, they brought in coach's guy, Cade Klubiak, and they gave him one throw. His one attempt was an interception, and then they sent him to the bench. And it's like, if you're making the quarterback change, if you're calling it on DJ, you need to give Cade the rest of the game. Because what Dabo essentially has done is tell both quarterbacks, I don't trust either of you, and you're both going to have really short leashes. And that just doesn't work. It's the opposite of what Steve Spurrier did with letting them both run the fun and gun. They're both going to be looking over their shoulder now, and it was just asinine.
Yeah, just total mismanagement of that. I was like, what was he doing? Like, there's no way that this is going to work. There's no way you're going to get any. It was just a token line. I mean, to me, it sounded like it was a token. Okay, you want a K Klubnik? Here you go. Throw him out there for play. See, told you couldn't do it.
Yeah, so
That's what it felt like.
I mean, that's the nail in the coffin. ACC definitely not making the playoff this year. Josh, you watched a bunch of Big 12 football this weekend. The one conference, though, that we haven't talked about yet, Big 10, two notable results to me. One was Northwestern really, really, holding Ohio State in check for most of the game. And then the second
the monsoon held them in check.
Yeah, the monsoon held them in check. But it was funny nonetheless. Second one, though, Illinois completely pooping the bed against Michigan State. Just completely and in doing so, killing their shot at winning the Big Ten West.
No, they didn't kill their shot at winning the Big Ten West. They if they beat Purdue this week, they're back on track. They're fine. They'll lose to Michigan, but if they finish 2-1, they should be fine. But yeah, I mean, so first of all, the Northwestern game, I on the blog told my readers to take Ohio State and the over. And I live in Chicago. The forecast was not that bad. And in my neighborhood, it was a little more windy than normal, and it rained for about 25 minutes. And as I saw the Northwestern score, I was just like, what the hell is going on up there? And then I saw some highlights, and it's monsoon-like condition. And I'm like, Evanston's 20 minutes north of me. What was going on? So that was just crazy. Also, I want to get to Illinois here in a second. I do want to give a shout out to my Iowa Hawkeyes for looking competent for the second straight week. Purdue quit on the game and was not running any hurry up, down 21. They totally gave it up. And, Brahm's a 500 coach, and you kind of see why. It's a windy day. He throws it 43 times, with Charlie Jones catching 11 of those and being targeted a whole bunch more times. The other receivers only had one or two catches, depending on who you're looking at. So just a horrible game plan by Braum. But the Michigan State-Illinois game, I wanted to bring Coach into this because I saw two coaches getting really, really cute over the weekend. The first was up at Oregon State when they took on Washington in Seattle. They score a touchdown to go up 7-0. They force a punt. They have a second really nice drive, but they run a hyper aggressive. If it's fourth and less than 4 inside the 20, they're going. No matter the context of the game, turnover on downs.
Right.
Then they get another defensive stop. Washington punts. They do the exact same thing. They marched it down the field again. Turnover on downs. They gave Washington life. I feel like if you go up 13-0, you really get Washington pressing and getting out of what they wanted to do. They pass it all the time with Penix, but they still do try and incorporate the run and be a little bit more balanced. So I was curious about Coach's thoughts on Oregon State, but I also want to include Illinois in this because they did something similar as well. They had 2 turnover on downs in the first half, one coming at the Michigan State 2-yard line, and then the other coming at the Michigan State 29. They went for on a 4th and 19 and didn't get it. And their kicker was hurt last week and a little banged up, but he kicked the point after and was fine on the point after. But I should point out, Illinois' backup kicker is 7 for 7 on the year. And so ultimately for Oregon State, they lost by 3. You get a couple of those field goals, they win. Illinois lost by 8. If they had taken their 3 field goals that they passed up when they went for turnover on downs, they would have theoretically won. So, Coach, what is going on with all these 4th down attempts and kind of what's your philosophy on that?
Well, all right, let's start with Oregon State first. Okay. So Oregon State, I guess that they're going hyper aggressive mode. That's what their philosophy is. Fourth and less than 5. I see no reason not to go for it. But to me, if it were me in the game, I think I would have gone for the first one, and had I gotten it, it would have influenced me to go for future ones. Because if you score a touchdown there, I see where he's trying to get momentum against a team that he's outmatched against. And if you get that momentum, it's hard to relinquish it.
Yeah.
But
I would push back on Oregon State being outmatched in that game, though.
Well, I mean, they knew they had to get touchdowns. Probably is what their thinking was. They felt like they had to get touchdowns. They felt like they had to be hyper aggressive, so they went for it. I think the first time is fine, but after that, if you get a chance to get points, if you get in a game like that and you get a chance to get points, get points. Same with Illinois. 4th and 19, get the points. Fourth and goal from the 2. I don't hate that. Just like I don't hate Brian Kelly going for the 2-point conversion. The 2-point conversion. Yeah. It shows that.
I think that's a different
I'm confident
context,
in you guys.
though.
I'm confident in you guys. Well, no, not necessarily. The second, the 4th and goal from the 2 is kind of the same. One play,
it's effectively
make or break.
The same. Yeah.
And so you get it there. They probably, if they get that 4th and goal from the 2, we might be talking about a totally different ball game. It shows that Bielema has confidence in his offense and offensive line to try to go out and get 2, or to try to go out and get 2 yards and a score. So I don't hate that call. It didn't work out. So it's easy to say, okay, you should have taken the points there. But I think for momentum's sake and team confidence sake, I think you go for it there. 4th and 19 is a little bit reckless. I think you just get the points and come back and fight another day. But Oregon State, that's a tough one. But had it been me making the call, I would have gone for the first one. Get it. That might change the course. Don't get it. Let's get points later on.
I do want to point out some of the Illinois stupidity in the game. Michigan State got the win, but when you break down the stats, Illinois outgained them 441 yards to 294. Illinois had fewer penalties. They won time of possession. They racked up over 150 rushing yards in the game, and yet they kept going for it on 4th down after 4th down after 4th down, and it cost them the game. It was idiotic. By Bielema.
At some point you gotta take points, but it depends on the context of the scenario. On the 2-yard line, I'm going for it. 4th and 19, I'm not. 4th and whatever. If it's a tight game, I'm getting points, and let's go. Especially if my defense is playing well.
Michigan State's so offensive.
Maybe.
Yeah. Michigan State's so offensively challenged. I would, if I'm Bielema, I'm going. If we score every possession, they can't keep up with us, even if some of those possessions are field goals.
Yeah, I do think that was a little bit reckless going for it that many times on 4th down. But
it's actually what Harbaugh did a few weeks ago, and it paid off for him.
Yeah, if it pays off, great. It's high risk, high reward. You could, there's a saying that I don't think the Arena Group would approve, but it happens. It has to do with chicken salad, and making chicken salad. So, but yeah, but at some point, like if you're in a game where the offense can't score, go ahead and get your points and move on. But I don't like it's weird because I don't hate it, but yet you need to get points too at some at a certain time in the ball game.
All right. So, well, are there any other games from this past weekend, Josh or Coach, that you guys want to note quickly before we move in here into some spread formations?
Going back to Duke for a second. Bowl eligible, baby. It's the Dukies.
The Dukies
are bowl eligible before the Badgers.
Mississippi State in a crazy game where Mike Leach had a big lead, lost it, and then got it back there at the end.
Watch the Mike Leach press conference after the game if you haven't, and enjoy. Enjoy sitting behind that shade tree, sipping on some lemonade, and having I forget the kind of sandwich he was implying that they were eating. That was fun. Go back and watch that
with your fat little girlfriend.
Yeah. Yep. That's the one.
You gotta love the energy Cadillac brought to Auburn.
Oh yeah.
It was just much needed for them.
That was fantastic. I like seeing Cadillac out there. Even if you're not an Auburn fan, you gotta respect Cadillac. And that team, that is a forgotten, amazing team of the 21st century. That team of him, Ronnie Brown, Campbell, just those guys were incredible.
I think we hit almost every conference. We would be remiss without mentioning that Bo Nix doing it again, catching, passing, running, all three.
Man. He's on fire, dude. Auburn fans have got to be going, what the hell did we do with him?
I think a lot of other teams who need coaches are going, what is Kenny Dillingham doing with Bo Nix? If he can do this with Bo Nix, imagine what he can do with some real players. And so,
I give him an ultimate challenge. What can he do next year with Alex Padilla
in Iowa?
Well, that is an interesting question. Okay. Well, any other games from the weekend? Anything else?
We used up our time already.
Yeah, we used up our time talking about fourth downs. Let's move on though, gents, to spread formations. Last week, solid week, all around 3-2 across the board for the three of us. On the season, Coach still leading the way, 35-26. Josh, 33-28. I'm 30-31 on the season. As a reminder, all of our lines are courtesy of our presenting sponsor, betonline.ag. We got 7 games this week we're going to go through. Coach, you are up first. And we are going to start with where College Game Day should be. And that is the Garden District of New Orleans.
Syracuse?
No, the Garden District of New Orleans.
Iowa.
For Tulane UCF.
I've seen if you would repeat it again. Yes. UCF at Tulane, Garden District. Game day should be there.
They should be there.
Should be for the division title, right?
No, well, not only that, it's the second time. It's the second time they've been at Texas this season.
They got to film more of Bevo pooping.
Oh yeah, it's because it's so romantic.
Riveting.
Okay, on this one, gents.
All right.
Coach, you are picking first this week. Tulane is a 2-point favorite at home, over under 54 against the Fighting Gus Buses. What do you like?
Well, I think the Gus Bus is going to break down in the Garden District here at Tulane. I'm just watching them play. They're just so explosive. They're solid, man. They're good. I think the spread is perfect though, because these are two great teams, and I think UCF is playing lights out. But I think Tulane is playing slightly better, so I'm going to take Tulane -2.
Yeah, Tulane's a little bit more consistent with what you're getting game into game out. They're they didn't have, case in point, a really erratic Central Florida 70 on Temple, and then the next week 13 against East Carolina. Classic Gus Bus highs one week, lows the next week. The other thing is Tulane is a little bit more battle tested. When you look at their schedules, Tulane went up to the Little Apple and beat Kansas State. They traveled to Houston, knocked them off. I know Houston hasn't lived up to expectations, but Houston's 5-win team right now. They should get bowl eligible. They beat that Pirate team. They beat this Memphis team. They beat a kind of a sneaky, decent Tulsa team. And then, what have the Knights done? Well, the Knights had an FCS team padding their schedule. They had Florida Atlantic helping things out. Temple is struggling right now. They beat Temple. They lost that exact same East Carolina team. They did beat Cincinnati, but that was at home, and Cincinnati kind of was looking dicey for several weeks in a row. And then they went on the road and they beat that same Memphis team, common opponent. So I'm with Coach. I'm taking Tulane. I've got them winning by much more than the 2-point spread, to say the least. I think they win by about a touchdown.
All right. I like Tulane as well in this one, but I actually like the under even more. I think that both these teams have sneaky good defenses, Tulane's especially, and I like the under in this one. So let's move to the SEC. Alabama, Ole Miss. I was a little bit surprised that game day didn't go here because they just love Alabama so much and want to just follow them around the country wherever they go. And they love going to Ole Miss because, well, I mean, the Grove is actually pretty nice. Bama coach, 11.5 point favorite on the road, over under 64. What are you thinking?
I do not want to pick Alabama on the spread, especially Ole Miss is such an explosive team. Their defense, their personnel is so perfect with their defense. Alabama is on the struggle bus as far as being able to score points and being able to do the things consistently they need to do to get the ball into their playmakers' hands, which on the perimeter, I don't know who that person is. And then Jahmyr Gibbs, I don't know that they know that he plays running back sometimes. I think Bill O'Brien is still thinking he just got David Johnson in a trade for DeAndre Hopkins. So I'm not sure what's going through his mind. This defense is super soft, and I think Ole Miss's offense will feast on that. So I know it goes against conventional wisdom to pick against Alabama, and they typically cover, but this is not a typical Alabama team. So I'm going to take Ole Miss in the points here and the under. I think this game is going to be an under because I think the defenses are going to I think it's going to be a mid-scoring game. I don't think it's going to hit the 64. So I'm going to take Ole Miss plus 11.5 and the under.
Yeah, the fear is that the coming off loss record for Nick Saban is pretty incredible. And just this year, after the Tennessee game, they took Mississippi State to the woodshed. So if you're picking Ole Miss or an Ole Miss fan, that's going to be your big concern is Alabama really doesn't ever lose 2 in a row. For me, though, I'm really, really intrigued by that over. I wish it was a few points less. If it had been about 59, I would have loved the over. I still actually kind of like the over, even though it's a little bit more dicey. Ole Miss knows how to score points. Ole Miss has had a lot of games that would have cleared this 64-point over, and Alabama, if they're going to win this game, if they're going to keep pace, I think it'll play out kind of similar to that Tennessee game and be a little bit more up and down the field than coach is thinking. So I'm going to take the over, believe it or not.
I am with Josh on the over here. All right, guys, let's pick up the pace as we head to Washington at Oregon. Oregon, we just talked about Bo Nix, Kenny Dillingham, and that offense. 13.5-point favorites at home against a ranked Washington team, which we just saw last week struggled with their in-state rival Oregon State. Over under here, 72.5, coach.
Ooh, this is a tough one, but I mean, Oregon's on a heater, so I'm gonna 72.5. That's a big number.
That is
so
a big number.
It's a huge number. But it is also a Pac-12 game, so this game could hit the over at 92. But I'm going to take Oregon right now because they're on a heater. I think they can cover a 2-touchdown spread against Washington. I think that Washington is not as good as we thought, but they're not as bad as we thought either. They're kind of right there. They're solid, but Oregon is just on fire. Bo Nix is making his Heisman campaign. They're playing lights out on defense. Dan Lanning has got it going on over there. But if I'm going to take a 2-leg parlay here, it's going to be Oregon minus 13.5 and the under. I just think
I only need you to pick one. I don't need you to pick both, coach. I just need you to pick one. So,
well, I'm picking both. So I'm going to take a 2-leg parlay here. Oregon 13.5 minus 13.5, and I'm going to take the under.
All right, Josh.
Well, I watched every minute of that Washington-Oregon State team, and my conclusion was they are both worthy of being top 25 teams. That was just a great slug out. They're both really good teams, I think. I am actually going to take Washington. I think Oregon wins, but I like that I'm getting 2 touchdowns there. The Huskies kept it really competitive with UCLA, and Oregon has been blowing teams out, but the last few teams they've been blowing out, Cal and Colorado. The last time we saw them against a top 10 team or a ranked team, I should say, was UCLA. They did win by just 15. And I think that, Washington is is similar enough to UCLA to kind of poke around. So I'm going to actually say the Huskies make it frisky and take those points.
All right. I as tempted as I am to take the over in this game, I'm actually going to take the under here. I'm tempted to take Oregon minus 13.5, but I think that Washington, especially with that offense, has the opportunity for that backdoor cover like it's no one's business. So I'm actually going to take the under here, though, because I just think 72.5 is just too big of a number for any game, even peak Big 12. 72.5 is absurd. So, but you know what? And after saying that, it's going to end up as a 67-64 finish. So let's head down to the Big 12, who is no foreigner to shootouts. TCU at Texas. Texas is somehow a 7-point favorite at home against undefeated number 4 TCU. Over under 65 here, Coach.
Okay, I'm going to stay away from the over-under. I'm going to pick with the spread here. Texas is -7. They're playing really, really well. Ewers has been a tremendous at the quarterback position. TCU is red hot. They're still undefeated. They're vying for a playoff bid. I think they're going to be super sharp, even on the road, which is surprisingly a tougher place to play. That Texas is starting to kind of get their together, but I think TCU's on a mission. Sonny Dykes has got this team rolling, so I'm going to take TCU +7.
Yeah, so I just watched the entire Texas-Kansas State game, and Texas had moments where they looked incredible, and then they had moments like when they got shut out in the third quarter, only scored 3 points in the fourth quarter. Kansas State ran the ball up and down the field on them. I shouldn't have said run because they did it mostly with their passing attack, over 300 passing yards on Texas. I think TCU is just playing with that confidence. Even when they get down, they know that they can come back. And the Longhorns second half this season, they've had some brutal second halves. So I'm going to take the Horned Frogs.
Yeah, clean sweep for the Horned Frogs here. I don't see.
We've jinxed them.
Yeah, we've completely jinxed them. I'm sorry to my cousin Douglas, who's a senior there right now and loving this more than anything he's loved in his entire life so far. So at TCU. So,
and he's married with 3 kids.
You know what? At TCU, I'm sure he has some classmates that are. Anyways, quickly, Florida State, 6.5-point favorite at Syracuse, over under 51. Coach, Syracuse super banged up.
Yeah, they're super banged up, so it's going to be a tough sledding there. Florida State -6.5. They just came off a shellacking of Miami.
Oh God, that was one of the worst losses I've seen for a Miami program that's had some really bad losses in the last 10 years. Josh,
and I'll take the over as well.
Yeah, Syracuse is just all banged up. The good thing is they're already bowl eligible. I think they will still beat Boston College in their finale, and they'll get healthy and look for them to come out really hungry in their bowl game here in a few weeks. But in this one, a little bit more on the downward trajectory for at least one more week, Florida State.
Yep, clean sweep Florida State. All right, the game that everyone has been talking about, over under 34.5 points. We're talking less than half the over under of Washington, Oregon. We have Wisconsin at Iowa. Wisconsin, a 1.5-point favorite on the road. Coach, I know, all the people down here just love that super explosive offense, and so they're going to be tuned in to Badgers and Hawkeyes.
Yeah, especially coming off of the. I think what's going to happen is I'm going to send everybody the Brian Ferentz 2-hour outside zone clinic, and they're going to get so jazzed up for this game that they're not going to watch any other game on Saturday except for this one. God, this spread, this over-under is laughable, man. I'm going to take Wisconsin to win this thing, basically in a pick 'em, but I want to pick the under so bad, but I know that's not going to happen. So I'm going to take a 2-leg parlay, Wisconsin and the over.
Josh.
All right. Well, so I am doing my best to not get roped in because it's Northwestern and Purdue. So I'm going to be objective and just frankly look at Wisconsin. In their 3-1 game stretch, they beat Northwestern, the worst in the league. They got upset on the road at Michigan State, looked very unprepared for a road game. Beat Purdue, who's allergic to defense, and beat Maryland, who Mike Loxley did evidently nothing all bye week, and Maryland came out and playing like total idiots. The fact of the matter is you have the dean of Big Ten coaches.
The fact of the matter is this, Skip.
Going up against an interim coach. Iowa has newfound confidence. They are healthy in the skill position set for the first time, basically all season. And Wisconsin, frankly, hasn't played a defense this caliber since the Illinois game, and they were held to just 10 points. I know it's crazy to think about. We've been so down on the Ferentz brain trust this season, but strictly business, you got to take Iowa.
Strictly business. I'm taking the under.
Strictly business.
Let's finish it off, guys. Time for the Colorado line of the week. They are on the road at USC, and they are 34-point dogs in the Coliseum over under 66, Coach.
I'm going to take USC because why? Why not, right?
Why not? They wouldn't have covered that 34 last week.
They would not. They would not have. But Cal's a lot better defensively. Yeah, that is a big spread. But I'm going to take it just because I think USC will go into the 50s.
Josh.
I absolutely adore the over in this game. It's 66. USC would have had all their games cover this, minus the Oregon State game, but Oregon State's a different animal because they're a really good team and play defense. I see this one similar to like the Stanford game, 41-28, or the Rice game, 66-14, or the Arizona State game, 45-25. I think with USC's softer defense and blowing them out, the scrubs come in and Colorado gets a few late scores to make this 66-point over demolished.
See, I like that over too. I also like,
but do you adore it?
I love it. I'm not sure I adore it though. Adoration is, that's a big commitment right there to adoration. We're talking adoration of the Magi. Come on, you're getting really deep into my soul there. No, Caleb Williams is trying to get a Heisman. They are going to put him out there to put up big numbers. Right now, he's got 28 touchdowns and 1 pick this year. He's throwing the ball for over 300 yards a game. He is doing some serious stuff that no one's seeing. He's going to need to put up even bigger statistical numbers. They're going to do that against Colorado. I've got USC winning the game 59-10, covering the minus 34 and the over.
Ooh, got a 2-legger.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Guys, anything you want to finish off with here this week?
A very intriguing battle in the independents, not conference because they're all independent, but Liberty, fresh off their stunning upset at Arkansas, which we buried the lead on. They are ranked. They're 8-1, but they are traveling to Jim Mora's scrappy Connecticut team up there in Stores The Huskies have ripped off back-to-back wins, Boston College and UMass. They are sitting there at 5-5. UConn just needs to pick up a win against either Liberty or at Army, and they are going frickin' bowling, which is crazy to think about. So huge opportunity here for Huskies taking on a nationally ranked Liberty team.
It's kind of amazing to think that more than likely, or there's a significant possibility that UConn and Duke will be bowling this year under their first year new head coaches. Miami will not.
God, that's insane.
So I think that's the perfect way to end this 303rd edition of the Illegal Motion College Football Podcast. So on behalf of our own offensive coordinator, the coach, Corey Burton here in Nashville, Tennessee, and our intrepid blogger from Big Ten Accounting, Josh Cook, up there in Chicago, Illinois, this is Matt Perkins in Nashville saying so long and see you next time on the Illegal Motion College Football Podcast.
Green Wave.